All right, we back. We back. Again, it's our show. If you like what you're seeing, I like what I'm saying, hit the like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, y'all. Um, I'm gonna keep this moving, y'all. And we got a few more things to talk about. So if I can keep my mouth towards the microphone. So again, like I said, we was talking about mail-in ballots. And here's my thing. We got all these things that's going on that we're talking about. You got all these content makers, you got the news media, everybody's in a full frenzy talking about, whether if it's the bloodbath hoax or, any of the other things that the Letitia James um case in New York or any of the things that's going on with Trump. And what we're really dealing with is it's election time. And much like one of my biggest issues with January 6th is lining up a lot of different things to happen that's going to become my issue in 2024. All right. And what I mean by that is that my issue with January 6th has nothing to do with January 6th. Okay. My issue is about the election that January 6th was about. I was among one of many of the individuals around this country that at the time was watching very closely the information that was available, that was available to us about the election because there was things that just did not seem right. Okay. And at the end of the day, here I am 3.5 years later, and I'm gonna tell you that mail-in ballots had a lot to do with that. Come to find out, I didn't know at the time that that was what was so. Like I said, there was so much going on with that election. I mean, like I was watching in real time. Y'all remember when we was watching the shoot, we was watching the poll workers in Michigan. I want to say it was like Detroit. I want to say it was Detroit, but we there was yeah, it was Michigan. And the building that they were in, there was these glass windows, okay? And they had already kicked a lot of people out of the and I ain't gonna say a lot of people. They've already kicked several Republicans out of the room as far as people who were supposed to be watching, votes be counted or whatever. Um and then I guess there was some other chatter as far as like even inside the room there was some things going on that was supposedly biased as far as like certain people were allowed to get a lot closer to the count than others. I guess we'll just say it like that. But I remember watching when okay, the way the building was set up, there was glass windows separating the rooms and there was like a waiting room and what I'm saying in between or whatever. And the people in the waiting room, it was a nice little crowd of them, were able to just stand there and kind of just watch through the glass. Now, they wasn't close enough probably to really see anything significant or anything like that. But, I guess just the idea of being able to be that close of being able to at least look through the glass and sort of look at the room and you can see the movement of the individuals at the tables and, and whatever. But the workers inside that place, they ended up putting up like this boards all over the windows, like dry erase boards or not even that. What some things used to do them school projects on back in the day? Those type of boards or whatever to cover the windows, tape them up. And I remember them doing that while we was watching on TV while this was happening. And it's like, wow. Just stuff like that was happening. Um, and then of course that night there was, you know what I'm saying? Like for some reason, even though like Trump was winning uh early in the evening as they were counting basically the votes that were happening throughout the country from individuals who participated in election day. And it was late night. Anyone knows me knows I'm up late. I just am. One, my work helps me to need to be up late, help other people out, in their time of need and stuff like that. But I'm usually up late anyway. So election night ain't no different. I was up during those hours when they stopped the countings. Okay. And when they started bringing the counting back in and things like that, but the next morning things was different. Okay. It was now nobody was able to say it was different. It was just the results, Oh, well, we had to count all these mail-in ballots that came in and this and that. In every state, and I ain't gonna say every state. In all 5 of the states that they call the swing states, I guess, but the election was, you know, there's definitely reason to believe that there was issue in those states. Just because of that, just because of what happened at the end of the night. You know what I'm saying? Now, people explain it as if it was normal when they say, well, it was because of the mail in ballots. You had to take into account that they had to count the mail in ballots, and that was happening after the count of election day was those votes were being counted. So, and because Trump told his supporters not to do the mail in ballots, that's the reason why the mail in ballots was overwhelmingly for Joe Biden. Th- That don't make a whole lot of sense, y'all. Okay. And the reason it make no sense is because it's like one is like, well, you have to take in consideration the mail in ballots. And then when you take the mail in ballots in consideration, uh, they had to be counted. We never done that before. Exactly. So if the process has never been done before on this magnitude and stuff, then how are you going to come back now and tell me, well, we did every single thing right about it, and it's the most secure, and there's no fraudulent, nothing going on, and it's the most secure ever. But in the same note, you tell me the reason it took so long to get the results of this process done is because it's the first time we done on this mass scale. So the first time that you done it correct and proper and right and exact the first time out. During a pandemic, during all this, everything that's going on, and you mean to tell me this process that you implemented on such a massive level, it went off without a flaw. Most secure election ever. Don't even want to look at none of the other people say, "Hey, wait, they didn't check signatures in this state, and we no need to look at that. Most secure ever. Hey, this state got some dead people that well, it ain't enough to overturn nothing. No need to look at that. Most secure ever. Hey, this county's got duplicate people, duplicate ballots. Eh, don't worry about that neither. Most secure ever. Like, listen, it's not about Trump at this point. Okay. He's just the individual that is the face of it because he's the individual who is it's happening to at this time. Okay. Or, yeah. Look, the only difference between Trump and Bernie is Trump stood his ground. That's the only difference. All right. They both were outside of the establishment and with their ideas, and they both had an appeal and were backed by people, the people of the United States. Okay. In their respective political fields, they were backed by the people. Bernie decided to fold when the establishment came to him. He had the people that would have backed him even through all that bull crap that they pulled in the primary back in 2016. Okay. The people would have backed him and continued telling the establishment, no, we don't trust Hillary. We want Bernie. And the people was prepared to go and fight that battle with and for Bernie. Bernie's the one who conceded. Even though everybody knew that Bernie, you getting cheated. We being cheated. There's way too many of us at these rallies. There's way too many of us who's supporting you right now that we can tell you without a question, Bernie, you being cheated. Bernie said, it's okay, y'all. We'll fight another day, and we're gonna back Hillary. Well, not everybody who was supporting you was on board with that. Okay, that left some of us out here to dry. I'll tell you that right now. That was your mistake, and that's why you would never be able to rise to that position again politically that you were at back in 2016. Okay, you were supposed to be our president. You would have beat Trump. You were supposed to be our president. You let the establishment cheat you. And when the people were ready to back you and say, no, we don't want to let this happen this year. We know it happens other times, but we don't want to let this happen this year with our candidate. And we were ready to continue backing you. And you backed out and said, let's go support Hillary now. And it's time to come together. No, that wasn't the time to come together. It was time to come together. It was time to come together behind you. It was time to come together. It was time for the establishment to stop playing the Democratic establishment, stop playing game with the Democratic people and say, okay, you know what, we're gonna have to back off on this one, and we know that y'all clearly telling us y'all don't want Hillary, and y'all clearly telling us y'all want Bernie. We're gonna have to let this ride. Maybe we can go to Bernie on the backside, do some back talking to him, and still get him to do our bidding for us after he get in the White House. But yeah, we got to go with the people. No, that's not what happened. Anyway, I'm ranting. Bernie did, man. Bernie had a movement behind him. He did, and Trump had a movement behind him with the people. The Republican establishment tried to throw everything they could at him. They went to the long term established Republican families like the Bushes. You know what I'm saying? They was like, well, maybe America's willing and ready to forgive, Junior George. But no. They tried to Ted Cruz, which, you know what I'm saying, back then, Republican wise, Ted Cruz had some, yeah, he still do. He still got some pull. You know what I'm saying? He went up against Donald Trump back in 2016 and he suffered politically like most of them did. You know what I'm saying? and that's just because they all underestimated who and what they were running up against. You know what I mean? Like he, much like Bernie Sanders, like I said, only two people in my lifetime have I ever seen run for president that had the people on their side was Bernie Sanders. Like in that manner has been Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. I've never seen, you know what I'm saying? I've never seen politics mobilized like that before. And, yeah, some could say, well, what about Obama? Obama pulled him out. Vote wise, yes, that's what we're told anyway. But and I'm not gonna doubt it. I know I voted for Obama the first time, like a mug. Shoot, listen, I know Obama not American Negro. However, it was a part of me that also, like many of us in the country, that just had to see if it was gonna happen. Let's see if this is even possible. Is this really where we at right now? You know what I mean? So that first time around, yeah, I definitely threw my vote. Heck, he could have said almost anything. And at the end of the day, I mean, you know what I'm saying? When it came down to it, I think I probably would have still marked in the same spot. You know what I mean? Um, there's a few things that I could think of that, yeah, there's a few things that could have came out about him that would have swayed me a different way back then. It wouldn't have swayed me towards no Hillary. And to think about a John McCain presidency. Whew, we dodged one on that one. Mhm. Yeah, we dodged one on that one. Um, I mean, I don't, man, it's so tricky because Obama put us in some weird positions too. Like, I mean, McCain, I think it would have been more the same like with Bush. You know what I'm saying? Just the country's okay with this. I'm gonna take us to war with anybody who even possibly may sound like they made a threat or might have some interest to us. Um, Democracy, or diplomacy and all that's out the window. Look, we come into we need a war, and we're gonna find one. And that's kind of how Bush was. Like, we need a war, we're gonna find one, even if it ain't the right one. We're gonna find one. And I honestly think McCain would have been more of the same in that aspect. Obama seemed like a safer choice when it came to wars, and he seemed like a safer choice when it came to the culture. The culture. Um, One of the big things that was major back then was like I was talking with pops earlier, is that gay marriage issue. And you know the amount of LGBTQ legislation that came out over the course of those 8 years is just it's it's why individuals like me ask the question of how did we go from something that seems like a halfway decent argument, but how do we go from somewhere as far as like marriage to oppressed? Like, I don't, and the whole thing as far as like now, it's like you have to accept that this is a group that's oppressed as much as American Negro, or in the same type of fight as American Negro, to where, like, if you don't accept it, then you're worse than the people who oppress the American Negro. That crazy. But anyway, I done sat here and ranted and rant enough, talked enough. I know that we gotta react to something. We gotta see what's here. And I don't want to just sit here and talk y'all ears off. But I do want y'all to like, subscribe, share, and hey, comment. I ain't gonna lie, man. I be enjoying reading the comments. Um, with few it's been so far, but it's an enjoyment to me just to look at them, check them out real quick. I'm like, oh shit. Hey, it really surprised me. Did a video a couple weeks back. Um, and it was one Dr. Phil. I was reacting to him, but just the response that I got on that one, and the way that I mean people actually sat there and watched it, like, man, people sat here and checked out that whole hour, 30 something minute video. I'm like, that's all right. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to keep them shorter. Salamander, you know what I'm saying? He usually cuts them up, you know what I'm saying, release, one segment at a time. Cause we ain't trying to bore nobody or nothing and shit. Like you see, I can ramble sometimes, so I ain't trying to. All right. Look, ramble so much my mouth be timing out on me and be like, "Yep, you gotta cut me off and on." All right. So we were talking about voting, more specifically the mail-in ballots. And excuse me, like I told Pops when we was talking about this, you know, I think it's a easier solution if it's about the people. You know what I'm saying? If both sides and both people's arguments, I said both people like it's only two people arguing it, but y'all know what I mean. If both sides are arguing and one is saying that it's about access and giving individuals or giving more individuals access who don't have access on election day. Okay, I hear you. And for the other side who says it's about keeping the integrity of election day. Okay, I hear you. And again, at least as far as that goes, there seems like there should be a fair, simple solution that Congress can come together and work out the details and push and pass for the Senate to grab so we can put it into our laws and move forward. It's very simple. Listen, the mail in ballot process is way too open to fraud. So, in order to implement the mail in ballot process to the for those states who are interested in continuing the mass mail in ballots, what we need you to do is come up with a as secure and check and balanced process as possible to get your ballots out and to get them back in, to verify them through the signature process and all the other many ways that you're supposed to be doing it, get them verified and counted and ready to be certified by your state legislation by the morning of election day. Period. You want early voting? There's your early voting. It's very simple. All right. Now, I know that the logistics of it and everything is a lot more detailed, which is why most people say leave that mail-in ballot stuff alone anyway. But hey, if y'all want it so bad, y'all have to make a way to do it to where the rest of us are not affected. Our rights are not affected. Our rights to free and fair elections are not affected. And counting mail-in ballots after I done walked up and cast my in-person vote is ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. We've done everything that these states have done possible to try to secure the voting process on election day for us to introduce a whole nother process that has nothing to do with election day. Obviously, it has nothing to do with election day. So why are we allowing it to linger past election day? It should not. It should be done and certified. Certified to the point to where, and when I say certified, I don't even know if that's the right process that I'm referring to right now, but that is that's the along the lines of the words that I mean, you know. But yes, it needs to be certified to the point where there is repercussions at that point if it's wrong. At that point, at the point that morning, election morning, when the state officials are telling the public what the results of their mail-in ballots are, if there's 10, 30, 40,000 unverified, unsignatured ballots in there need to be consequences for the people who certified that. Y'all process needs to be real. Y'all need to be real. So y'all can report some real numbers to us. And then on election day, those of us that loves getting up and finding a way throughout the day to go stand in that line and wait their process, talk to their neighbors while they're waiting, and moving up little at a time, and getting to where we finally going over to the table and showing the lady our ID. Yes. For those racist ass Democrats of y'all to think that I don't have one, yes, I have a driver's license. Duh. Stupid ass. Anyway, show the lady my ID. She asked me my address. I confirm it with her. Yes, this is my address. She hands me an envelope. Says that's what my ballot will go in. She points over there and says, "There's a gentleman over there that will help you if you need any help, and he'll also take you to your machine." Which I know there's people that have problems with the machines and stuff too, and that's cool. I mean, um, to me, it's almost a different. The mail-in ballots is something that has to be addressed before 2024, before this election. The proper way to get it done needs to be done. Like individuals need to be pushing for the right way to get it done. Like we cannot have what happened in 2020 and 2022 or what's happening in Chicago right now, today. We cannot have that kind of stuff continue happening. Let me see. I brought up Chicago a couple times. Do I have the story for Chicago and what's going on up there? Oh, wait a minute. No, it's not it. I hope I didn't just do it. Yeah. Excuse me. Um, hmm. Tell you what, y'all. I'm gonna pause this for a hot second while I find something about Chicago. All right, my bad. So look, Chicago. Now, the one of the reasons that I want to I'll clip this little put this little clip here, and again, it's a short one, but For those of you like myself back in 2020 was watching that election, okay, um, and the 2022 election as well, but, but 2020, this story sounds way too familiar. You hear what I'm saying? It sounds way too familiar. But let's check out this little quick clip of y'all, and then we can talk some more.
The race for state attorney getting tighter. Eileen O'Neill Burke now leads Clayton Harris by less than 5,000 votes.
This isn't a very immediate process, but it is a thorough process that's happening right now.
The Chicago Board of Elections, overseeing the city ballot count, today admitting to a counting and communications error, announcing it's adding some 10,000 vote-by-mail ballots to the unofficial total. They arrived before Election Day, but were not included until now. The director of public information apologizing, saying he missed them. I traded speed for accuracy in reporting out numbers this week as quickly as I could. I truly regret this error on my part and for the confusion that it has caused the voters of Chicago. Meantime, the race remains too close to call.
Come on. Here we go again. All right, so look, check this out. 10,000 ballots that are now going to be injected into the count after Election Day that supposedly was collected and verified before Election Day. Okay. Why was it not counted? That goes back to what I was saying. Okay. If it's really about the people, if it's really about trying to, make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to vote and everything like that, and it's not about cheating. If it's not about cheating, then again, mail-in ballots should be sent out, used, turned in by the rightful people, verified signatures and everything else that the states need to put in play to make sure that these are valid ballots being turned in by lawful voters, and then counted and recounted, or whatever process they need to do before Election Day, so that on the morning of Election Day, they can be certified as an official count. Period. Any other way, we're going to keep having these stories right here like what we're looking at. 10,000 more votes being injected into a very close race. Wonder how that's going to go, right? We shouldn't have to have these questions about our elections. That's the problem when we wasn't able to talk about the last presidential election we had, and we wasn't able to talk about the irregular, the whatever. I don't give a damn. Wasn't able to talk about it. We wasn't able to talk about the fraud. We wasn't able to talk about the lies, the misinformation. We wasn't able to talk about any of the things that we were seeing with our own eyes. Like when the lady, we sat there and watched them put this thing on these totes under the table. We watched them, and then we watched them do a whole day of voting, and then we watched them send people home, and then we watched them go over and pull these things out from up under the table, and then sit back down at the counting machines and start doing the same type of stuff we just sat there and watched them do for the previous several hours without everybody in the room no more. And then we're told that this was, we looked into it and it wasn't a normal. She knew that they were there. They put them there. Look, there's a video of her putting them there. That's the whole point. We seen them put them there. We seen them go through a whole work day. We seen them send everybody home. And then we seen them pull them out and start counting them. Explain to us. We shouldn't have these questions about our elections. this type of stuff shouldn't be happening. And if it does happen, it should open an evidential hearing like every single time before. Evidential hearings. There's more. I mean, what else we got about mail-in ballots and stuff? I mean, let's just see what some of this stuff is. Hey, this video might get censored for talking about this, but I don't see why. Listen, again, this is what I asked Pops earlier. Okay, it's election time coming up. We have another election. Can we talk about the previous election now? Honestly, okay. Like, I don't want to hear, oh no, it's the fair, it's the no fraud, or if it was fraud, it's not enough to overturn the election. What kind of answer is that, man? First, you tell me there's no fraud. Then, when it's obvious that there's plenty of fraud, then it's, well, no single thing of fraud is enough to overturn the election. You haven't found no single thing that would overturn the election. We come up with some of the silliest things to say to prove our points and to, you know, try to win an argument or whatever. Because you know in your own head that don't make no sense. All right. Fraud is fraud, man. If this is what's happening in our elections, you know what I'm saying? We need to do something about it. And like again, we ain't even talking about the machines and all the technical stuff. And, we need to get forensic scientists in here to check out if the machines are hooked up to the internet or have access to remote Wi-Fi and laptops. I don't care about that. I mean, don't get me wrong. If we're talking about securing elections, then yes, it probably is very important if the machines are hackable or not. Okay, and if people are using that to their benefit or not. Okay, um, and especially if they're doing it without getting caught. That's a big problem. Okay. Now, if we have individuals that's trying to do stuff to machines or whatnot, and they get caught and they getting the book thrown at them for messing with the elections and whatnot, that's great. It is what it is. But if it's happening and it's continuously happening and no one's getting caught for it and whatnot, yeah, we definitely have an issue with the machines. Okay. But I'm not talking about the machines right now. Whatever. These mail-in ballots, the mass mail-in ballots was and is an issue. If you care anything at all about your right to vote, you would understand how much these mail-in ballots is hindering that. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna do it just here in the state of Ohio. After seeing the video I checked out with Pops earlier, um, I'm curious because I know which elections I voted in. You see what I'm saying? I know which elections I voted in, and I doubt seriously if there's any that I forgot. But I'm curious to look, find out, and see. Because I might have voted in some elections that I don't remember voting in, obviously, like that lady. So that would be amazing. That'd be amazing. Imagine if 20% of the electric did that. 20% of us, I think is what hold on, let me see. I can't remember now. 130 something, 130, 140 million people that consistently um no. Yeah. I think it was 130, 130 something million uh that consistently um vote, consistently participate in elections. Okay. Um National elections. So, and we ain't talking about the we don't want to talk about the 2020 election. We ain't gonna take 20% of that. I think they claimed that 160 million people voted or something like that. That's yeah. No, we'll take the normal numbers. All right, so right around 130 or something. We'll take 20% of that. If 20% of us went out and just checked our state records and checked and see how many times we voted, I wonder how many of us would see additional races that we voted in that you never physically walked in the door and voted. And I wonder how many of those, if it's happened, if it's happened, I wonder how many of those happened within the last 12 years. I think that'd be very interesting statistic to find out for people who like to find statistics. Like I wish I had a phone number for my dude that be on YouTube. He likes statistics a lot. Patrick Patrick Bet David. Um, yeah, that's a question I would have posed to him, and I bet you he would put his team on, and they would find the answer. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what he likes. He likes statistics, and that would be an interesting statistic to find out if we had enough individual people to participate in that exercise. You know what I'm saying? Checking your state or county records or whatever is that you have access to, and checking your voting record opposed to what's official as far as what you see, how many times you voted and what races you voted in, opposed to what you may remember doing. And I think that would be an interesting topic for the most secure election ever. I think it would be an interesting topic. Man, shoot, I wish I had more followers right now. Like, man, that would be a challenge. Let's do that. So, look, before I do my next show next week, I'm going to do that for myself because I'm kind of curious. Yeah. And then, huh, I mean, for the most secure election ever, that'll be a way to prove it one way or another. I would think, right? Like, if you have individuals that you know for a fact, like I did not vote. What the hell you talking about voting? You would vote the, you know, the individuals I'm talking about, right? I wonder how many of them voted in 2020 and 2022. I wonder how many of those particular individuals voted in 2020 and 2022. Because you know they didn't go and stand in line to do it. And this mail-in ballot thing y'all talking about, hey, look, I'm a bail bondsman, y'all. All right, I'm gonna tell you right now. Only your upstanding day-to-day citizens, everyday working citizens, have an address that they report to every day. There's a large portion of our population who does not do that. They do not get to that mailing address. That's why they miss so many court dates, because courts is mailing it to places they ain't been to in years. Years. Yeah. I'm not yeah. That mail-in stuff need to be fixed, y'all. All right. So, what was I doing before I went on that little rant? Somebody said, "Little? What nothing little about that? You've been talking for 20 minutes." I probably have, man. I don't even know. Uh all right. So we got to get rid of this. I think I done got sidetracked and everything. I think we was going to go to this one here. So, let me 13. Doo-doo-doo-doo. And let's go. There you are. Now, this one here was on X, of course. and it had a little commentary. I mean, all right. So now this is specifically, and of course, talking about bloodbaths, right? But it's talking about Georgia, and Pennsylvania, and Arizona. And here's some little
Your
clips
Honor,
for us to check.
Your Honor, the Blue Crest sorting and signature verification machine would take the ballot envelope and scan it and create an image of it. Image appears on screen with a signature exemplar, and the two are compared that way.
Okay.
So my understanding is now the Blue Crest sorting and signature verification machine was not working, or
No, we didn't use it.
They did not use that.
did not use it.
We did
So
not
for the
use it.
item you're requesting to obtain for the scans of all the outer envelopes, they would have to rescan those again, is what we're hearing.
Well, it sounds like they were never scanned to begin with, and so I don't know, unless
So
if they were scanned, I want the scanned version
Right.
that they had on that day.
So are there any documents in the county's possession of these items having already been scanned?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can check at headquarters and see if they do have it.
Okay, so the difference here is not, so as I'm understanding it, there's just a general database that has all these signatures in it.
Well,
Why do we need to cross-reference them?
No, it's not a database of signatures. We actually have to go into the database and find the voter and look at the information and search through and find the signature wherever it may fall. And then when we get that, we, I guess, export it somewhere, have it printed. And if it's not in that database, we go look in the other database to find it.
Essentially, you have a database with each voter as its own folder or file in some way, and to go in and pull out the signature image, that's what's taking the time?
Yes, sir. So for each voter, I would have to put in your driver's license number or your voter registration number. I then have to go to your profile to see if you actually have a signature on file. If in the registration database, Georgia's registration database, you don't have a signature on file, we have an in-house electronic database that we scan documents into, and we check that. There are no guarantees that we'll have all 860,000 signatures. The hope is that we will.
The hope is that they will. There's no guarantee. All right, so like it says in Georgia, mail-in ballots, no signature verification done. They just hope, right? All right, so let's see what the next one is that it says it's talking about with Michigan. All right, so let's get rid of that.
Sometimes you use the same date.
Let's come over here to Michigan.
Time you left.
Yes.
Time
All
you
right.
left.
And in Michigan, we are talking about, according to the Post, we are listening for applications falsified. Let's see what this little clip is about.
Time you left.
Yes.
How many co-workers did you have?
And by the way, this one definitely is an old video. A lot of these are, but like I know people act like they hate Rudy Giuliani for several reasons. Mines go back to helping with the 9/11 cover up, but that's a different story. But when it came to this election stuff, look, y'all can say what y'all want about the man, this, and that. Look, I watched him flying back and forth all across this country, sitting in one hearing after another with these people. Remember, this election had over 900 people sign affidavits, poll workers from various states who signed affidavits talking about different things that they witnessed happening or were a part of because of instructions told to them. Okay. That happened. I don't know why there's individuals who sit here and act like there's nothing out there, like, oh, there's nothing, there's no evidence. Show me another election with over 900 people who submitting affidavits under the threat of perjury, lock me up and send me to jail if I'm lying to you about what I witnessed while I was working the elections. But yet there's no. Show me where they started putting all these people in jail for these false affidavits. Because I ain't seen that story yet, because I'm pretty sure that story be all over CNN. They would have loved to run the hell out of that story. Look at all these MAGA people. They would have called them all MAGA people. Look at all these MAGA people who threw away their lives and going to prison because they wanted to lie to help their leader, Donald Trump. Man, there would have been so many headlines. 900 people, 900 affidavits. And you mean there would have been so many headlines. All right, let's see where we at. So here we go, y'all. Let's go ahead and play Michigan real quick. And this is a quick one. No, it ain't. Oh yeah, 2 minutes. Let's roll.
When you were backdating the documents?
You mean at the election
Yes,
headquarters?
at the original place that you worked.
Okay. After, I think about around September 15th or so, they started the second shift. Until then, it was only from 9 to 4, one shift. Then they started another shift from 5 to 11. So 2 shifts. So I would say, if you add all of them, let me see. I would say around 80.
About 80
Yeah.
workers.
Yes.
And to your knowledge, were they all instructed exactly like you were
Yes.
to falsify
When they
the
were,
document?
yeah, when they were preparing the ballots to be sent, the ballot package.
So the ballot package had a false date on it when it was sent out, deliberately.
I mean, what basically is that date that you put on that ballot package, that will be entered to QEF as the ballot mailing date. And that's what it is. The
And then the law requires, doesn't it? So starting on the 20th of September,
22nd.
22nd?
Yes.
22nd of September,
Yes.
for some days thereafter,
Yes.
each day you were given a different date
Yes.
in order to backdate
Yes.
the application. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it was a different date each day?
Sometimes you use the same date, maybe consecutive days, maybe you will use the same date, but it was different.
But it was never the correct date.
It never be the same day, the day you are preparing the package.
In other words, it was a false statement.
Yeah, it was a date prior to that date that you are preparing
Who told you to do that?
whoever was the supervisor on the floor that day.
Was it one supervisor or more than one supervisor who told you to backdate it every day?
There were more than one supervisor, not just one, more than one.
All right. It was more than just one supervisor. Seemed very coordinated, organized. But again, these are old hearings. You know what I'm saying? This is stuff that happened. These are people who testified back when the election happened. Much of this was it was before January 6th. Matter of fact, all of it was for the most part that I recall. But over and over again, every day, you know what I'm saying, there was more and more hearings to watch. And an individual like me who likes watching hearings and stuff, I was glued to this stuff. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? So that's why a lot of it, just looks familiar to me. Is just reminding me, like, man, this was real in real time. Nobody wanted to believe it. Everybody just wanted to talk about Trump. But we got another election coming up, y'all. And my thing is this. What if these 900 affidavits under threat of perjury is people telling the truth? Because if they're telling the truth about the things they went through while they work in elections, we had issues in our election. I don't care about fraud. We had problems. And majority of the problems rooted at the root of that problem is mail-in ballots. Like as we continue going through some of this, you're gonna see how mail-in ballots was the main issue that caused a lot of these problems. Now, people are gonna say, well, that's because of COVID and the pandemic and this and that. Well, there is no pandemic no more. We was not really dealing with that stuff in 2022, but they still did the mail-in ballots. They doing the mail-in ballots right now in Chicago. They just added 10,000 into the count after election day. That's happening in real time right now, y'all, today. The election was Tuesday of last week. It's Sunday. All right. So again, let's go ahead and go to now. That was Michigan, and that was about the applications. So now we're going to go into Pennsylvania. Now look, we're dealing with some higher numbers now. 766,000 mail-in ballots magically appear from nowhere. Now, because I was paying attention to during this time, I remember certain stuff. So I'm gonna just throw this out there, y'all. Okay. You don't have to believe me. You go find it for yourself, or maybe I might run across it one day because X is one of those kind of open platforms where somebody will probably end up posting it sooner or later and bringing it back to people's attention. But we talking about Pennsylvania, 766,000 ballots that magically appeared from nowhere. Do y'all remember the truck driver who went public, told y'all about the ballots that he had? Remember? And he delivered them where? Y'all go find that. Go find
date,
that, y'all.
maybe
All
consecutive.
right,
Counted
let's switch
without
over
being
to
observed.
we are now going.
Those are the ballots we were talking about that were not
talking.
observed in Allegheny.
I ain't give you permission to talk.
Days, maybe you will use the same date,
Did
but
you just defy
it
me?
was different.
But it was never the correct date.
Stop.
It never be the same day, the day you are preparing the pack.
Counted without being observed. Counted without being.
All right, y'all. So the next one we are on Pennsylvania. Good old PA. Man, I do for a cheesesteak. And y'all from PA, leave it in the comments, man. Tell me if you like that cheesesteak. Is it worth the drive?
Counted without being observed. Those are the ballots we were talking about that were not observed in Allegheny County and in Philadelphia.
Correct.
Is that right? 682,770. Now, this is the part that is a mystery. Mailed ballots sent out, 1,823,148. But when you go to the final count of the vote, there are 2,589,242 mail-in ballots. What happened? How do you account for the 700,000 mail-in ballots that appeared from nowhere?
So our cyber team uses white hat hacking techniques. They gather a lot of publicly available information, and that information was from the Secretary of State's website. That website has been updated as late as 11/16 this morning with provisional and mail-in ballots. So those numbers are still changing. They changed last night, so it's a continual target.
This is 22 days after the election.
That number, the 2.5 million number is no longer on the website.
It's just been taken off?
It's not there anymore.
Is there any explanation for why it's been taken off?
There's no annotations.
Look, someone may say, man, there's some dirty tricks being played. Some may say, hey, this is all misinformation. Right? This is all misinformation. Who are you kidding, Mumbles? You talking about the most secure election of our lifetime. Quit playing, Mumbles. Quit participating in conservative white right-wing Conspiracy theories. Okay. So is it a conspiracy that we used mail-in ballots on a mass level 2020 and 2022? Or is that true? Is it fact? Is it conspiracy that we had some of the most bizarre, irregularities happening ever? Now, we know that all of our elections have had some issues here and there. We get that. Corrupt systems and all that. But now all of a sudden it was all fixed when we introduced one of the most unsecured methods of voting agreed upon by both sides. And that's the election you choose to tell me was the most secure and fair ever. Okay. So the last one here, I believe, was going to be Arizona. And Arizona, now, with this one being next to the one that we just watched, one would assume, well, maybe the ballots that disappeared from Arizona showed up in Pennsylvania. But like I said, I still remember that truck driver. And I want that video to resurface because I remember that truck driver and the media played him dirty. They act like he was just the worst Negro ever. Like, I dare you to tell. Oh man, I can't wait till that video resurfaces. Yeah, because they treated that nigga. But I want that video. Listen, for those of you that's out there on X and the dude that's doing this, look, I want that video to resurface and the media's reaction to him and what they were telling us and how they spun him. Okay, before the story just kind of disappeared like a lot of this stuff did after January 6th. January 6th came and the whole narrative changed and it was all about insurrection, white supremacy, insurrection. So we never really had that real conversation about the election. People be like, oh, there's nothing to talk about. It was already, everything's been said and done and proven and not proven. And no, American people, we were denied the privilege of being able to have that conversation with each other. We were denied that. I mean, freedom of speech, I guess. We were denied it.
package.
In other words, it was a
But
false statement.
2020 election about the drop boxes
we are
that Miracle
here now.
2020 election.
Be quiet. I want y'all to stop trying to talk with me. I need to wait until I'm ready for you. Then you can go ahead and tell us what you got to say. All right, y'all. Come on. Arizona. What you got for us? Now, remember, we just in Pennsylvania, they was talking about how they mailed out 1 million and so some, and they got 2 million back. So they're saying over 700,000 appeared into their system. And this man is going to tell us how 700,000 disappeared from their system. Let's hear what he got to say.
2020 election about the drop boxes that Maricopa, for example, Maricopa County said that they had over 923,000 ballots that were dropped off of the drop boxes. However, documentation can only account for 189,167 ballots, which means that there's a deficit of 733,000 ballots. That's right. Over 733,000 ballots are unaccounted for. So what have we learned? We learned that the big lie is that this was a secure election. I'm sorry, it was not a safe and secure election. We have so many problems with our process that need to be followed through and laws need to be adhered to and complied with. All of this evidence has been turned over to the Attorney General. Oh, and by the way, every Democrat voted no in committee.
All right. And that last little thing you said there about everyone, all them Democrats in their committee voting no. I mean, again, if it's so safe and secure, why are we not having the conversation? Why are we not able to talk about this stuff? There's plenty of information that came out during 2020 that demanded conversation, it demanded answers, and I'm just talking about the election. I'm not talking about the stuff around the election. I mean, some of that stuff that stuff was sick. It drew me off of social media, man. Y- the censorship was crazy. Okay. I mean, like literally, I was on rotation with a couple individuals on. We were just getting banned. Eh, yeah. But anyway, so that's that with those 4 states, okay? And again, it don't hurt my feelings. You know what I'm saying? You can dismiss it all as uh misinformation and right-wing propaganda and all that stuff. That's fine. That's your prerogative, all right? All I know is that I want to start having the conversation again, okay? So I'm going to see how this video does because I feel that with us coming up to again on what they are telling us is such a very important election, then that means it should be my rights to be able to talk to my fellow Americans about our elections, good or bad, whatever it is. It's on us to make the decisions if something is right or wrong. I don't need government making it for me. I don't need you telling me what I can or cannot hear or listen to try to determine for myself who's telling me right or wrong. Okay? That is very simple. These are very simple requests that I'm asking for. It's an election season. Can we talk about elections? The one that's coming up and the prior ones that we've had, especially the last 2 major ones that we were unable to discuss. We can all agree, or should be able to at least agree, that there is no such thing as a 100% safe and secure election. And if we agree there, then I'm going to ask you to take one other step with me to say that if we introduce a process into our elections that is riddled with the opportunity of fraud, then it is not likely that this was our first 100% safe and secure election. Okay. We introduced a whole process that is riddled with fraudulent behaviors. We have dead people by the thousands that voted, that had matching obituaries. You don't believe me? Hold on. I got another video for us to check out. This one is just about what I was just saying. Okay. Matching obituaries. Come on, y'all. Ooh, y'all better hope I don't find this one. This might be it. Let's see. All right. Again, we back in Michigan. All right. We're going back in Michigan for this one. All right. And we're just going to play this little clip real quick. What is it, 56 seconds? before I play it, let's make sure we understand something here. This is one clip about one state. Okay. I've seen information similar to this on several states dealing with 2020, 2022. Okay. Especially 2020. Let's let it play.
In a nutshell, we found several other things using open source data. There is a gentleman named Eric Lutzen, and he has matched up a list. He started looking at voters above the age of 80 that were registered for voting and did vote on in Michigan, and 17,327 Michigan voters also had a corresponding obituary. And I didn't print that whole thing out, but I can give you that website for the tabular data. And it's about 350 pages or so. So in the essence of time, I'll close it out. We'd be happy to chat if there's any other specific information that I can provide to you about our findings.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. So again, I mean, misinformation, whatever. This man's taking time. He said what company he works for, but I think, but he's taking time to go in front of the state legislation and tell them what he found, or the committee of that in that state, the committee set up by that state's legislation to investigate their election. And the only thing we heard during all of these hearings, the only thing we kept hearing from mainstream media is the Republicans over there holding, but they would never cover it. Never cover it. Much how they notice how they do Donald Trump now. Like, they won't cover none of his speeches. Even when he was indicted, they covered everything about him going to court and everything. And then the lady, I can't think of the little weird looking lady name, the white lady, Rachel Maddow. We're not going to cover it. If there's anything important, of course we'll go to it. But we believe in, we got to be careful with misinformation and stuff. So we're not going to carry any live comments from the formal, him. And it's the news telling you. There's news happening. Never mind. Y'all keep loving that stuff. All right. So again, according to this man and the information he claims that he found through analyzing data dealing with elections in Michigan, he found over, what was it, 1,700, 17,000? It's just crazy. Dead folk. Now I know. Hey, look, I watch horror movies, man. I know the dead can surprise us, man. They might mess around and be able to do a few things. May even be able to scare you out your house. I ain't never seen one vote before. I ain't never seen a dead person vote. Till 2020, a bunch of them did, though. You know what I'm saying? It was like Walking Dead was going on around here. I'm done, y'all. Okay, so again, we remember that all this stuff was happening in the middle of the night. Whether we dealing with Wisconsin between 3:30 and 4:30 in the morning, they found 140,000 mail-in ballots, mostly all of them for Biden. All right. Michigan, we had the same thing happen between 3:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, 200,000 mail-in ballots, mostly for Biden. And let's see here. Also, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, look, they gangster with theirs. You know what I mean? Pennsylvania, like, we ain't holding back. We ain't taking no chances. So between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, they said Screw it. They interjected 1 million mail-in ballots. 1 million. Now, mind you, all of this stuff is happening after election day. It goes back to my point and what I was saying to fix all of this. Okay. If we wanted to keep these mail-in ballots and we're going to fix this, those mail-in ballots need to be turned in on time before election day, verified, counted, and certified before election day. On election morning, those results should be final. And we should have the confidence that the people who was in charge of it in these various states did their job properly. But anything that didn't get counted and verified and certified before the morning of election does not count. So if people are using mail-in ballots and then they're checking and finding out that their vote did not count, they can't blame anybody but the state that they're in and their state legislation and the committees that they set up and their election board and their secretary of elections for that failure. But the rest of us should not pay for that. Okay? The rest of us should not have to pay for that. All right? If you're an able-bodied person, get your butt up and go vote. If it's not important enough to you to go vote, then it's not important enough for you to go vote. But it should not be allowed for somebody else to submit a vote for you. And if we have any opportunities of that happening, it needs to be a full check and balance put on it. Okay? Period. Mail-in ballots can happen, but y'all need to check and balance the hell out of it. For real. And make sure it does not affect with my rights on election day. Get your stuff done and certified. So I can go show my ID that the Democrats think I don't have and place my vote. Somebody say, Mumbles, you done ranting yet? I think I am, y'all, for this week. You know, we got other things like I was telling Pops earlier. We definitely got other things to cover, things that happened during the week this week. But I decided to take a break away from the current events to, go back and talk about what we did talk about tonight. Because that's where we at, y'all. It's an election season, and it's time to get serious about what we're doing here. And I'm telling you, man, I, I'm I don't want to hear the same people who supporting this work for your vote and all this type of stuff, bounce your butt to the polls and stuff. I don't want to hear y'all the ones criticizing me because of who I'm planning on voting for. All right. The person I'm planning on voting for don't treat me like that. The person that I plan on voting for ain't never came out his mouth that I have seen caught on TV to treat me nowhere near like that. I'm not saying he ain't like that, but I know who is like that. I know who continuously shows me that they're like that. And I think I'm going to end this one more time with the words of Malcolm X. All right. One more time for those who didn't hear it the first time. This is where we're going to leave off at. And I want to tell y'all right now, have a great week. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Please comment. You know what I mean? I like reading your comments. And you know what I'm saying? Hey, engage in conversation with me. I will write back. You know what I mean? Don't think I won't. I will write back. All right. So again, the great words of our late departed brother Malcolm X. The worst enemy that the Negro has is the white man that runs around here drooling at the mouth, professing to love Negroes and calling himself a liberal, and is following these white liberals that has perpetuated the problems Negroes have. If the Negro wasn't taken, tricked, or deceived by the white liberal, the Negroes would get together and solve our own problems. Once again, I'm Mumbles G. I'm Mumbles. This is our show, and I'm out.